I'm so excited about today's recipe. It is very easy to make, yet it is so hard to master. Today, we're gonna be making basboussa. Basboussa is a Middle Eastern traditional dessert, and for some reason, no one can get the outcome of a professional pastry shop. Few things to know about basboussa. 1. This is not a sponge cake. Do not use baking powder. 2. This recipe requires ghee. Do not substitute with butter. It's not gonna taste as good. 3. This recipe requires 2 kinds of syrup. Don't be lazy. Make the 2 kinds of syrup. Let's get started. First thing, we're gonna use 2 cups of soft semolina. Next, we're gonna add a half cup of ghee. Make sure the ghee is not hot. It's just melted room temperature. Now, there's also a very important trick when you're making basboussa. Basboussa is made out of semolina, which is full of gluten, and we don't want to activate that. So, the entire recipe, do not mix. Use your spatula so slow and so gentle. Do not overmix anything all across this recipe. I'm gonna gently start mixing the semolina with the ghee, and as I said, we're not gonna overmix. We're just gonna slowly make sure that all the semolina grains are covered with ghee. We wanna coat them with ghee. That's the goal. Step 1, done. Easy, right? Now for step 2, I'm gonna use a saucepan, but please feel free to use a microwave safe bowl if you want to. I'm gonna start with 1/4 of a cup of milk. Then we're gonna add 1/4 of a cup yogurt, 3/4 of a cup sugar. Now the last ingredient here is the heavy syrup, which I prepared earlier this morning. For the heavy syrup, you're gonna need 1/2 cup of sugar with 4 tablespoons of water with 1 teaspoon of lemon. Mix them all together and leave them to boil until they're thick on medium heat. Step 2, done. Easy, right? Just make sure of 2 things. 1, your milk mixture is warm, not hot. 2, make sure that the heavy syrup and the sugar dissolved really well with the milk and the yogurt before you add them to the semolina mix. Now remember, I'm gonna add this mix now to the semolina, but we're not gonna overmix. Again, only using my spatula today and gently folding the wet ingredients into the semolina. Alright, one last step before we put the basboussa in the oven. You gotta spread your baking sheet with ghee very well. You gotta use a very shallow baking sheet. You cannot use a deep baking sheet like the one we use for cakes. This is very important to get a successful basboussa. Do not spread it with your hands or your spatula. Here is what I'm doing. I'm just pounding my baking sheet on the table just to get all the air out and also to get it evenly spread on my baking sheet. Alright, so I have preheated my oven to 360 before I started this. And I'm gonna put now my basboussa for 20 minutes at 360 Fahrenheit. To prepare the syrup, you're gonna need 1 cup of sugar with 1 1/4 cup of water. And then once it starts boiling, you're gonna add 1 teaspoon of lime with 1 tablespoon of ghee. Remember, this syrup needs to be hot when you pour it over the basboussa when it comes out of the oven. Alright, so I ended up baking this for 25 minutes at 360 and then for an extra 3 minutes on broil. And immediately when I took the basboussa out of the oven, I poured the very hot syrup on top of it. To know that you have made a successful basboussa, all the syrup that you're gonna pour is gonna disappear within minutes. One last trick. Before you serve this delicious basboussa, which I'm so proud of, you need to let it cool for at least an hour or two. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I really hope that you're gonna try this one and share it with everyone you love. See you next time.